Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Substitute Spanish Prisoner of the Rainey Street podcast with Pank and Heggy. So as a quick recap, the first part of this episode we talked about Peggy doubting that she was a genius, taking an online assessment to discover she's a genius. Turns out that that is a scam, and at this point she's only just found out now that it's a scam because Luann Platter also tested positive as a genius. So at this point she's invested $1,000 to get a false PhD, and she wants to go get her money back.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I love that the photo that she prints out of the Texas Intelligence Institute is like held up to the actual building where it's located, and they are completely different buildings. Like immediately, red flags are going up everywhere as she looks into this.
Upstairs Hollywood Medical School.
Yes, exactly.
So she ends up going to the hotel or motel, where Dr. Robert Vaizosa is staying, and knocks on the door, and he double insults her at this point. So he opens the door and is like, "You lied to me," essentially. And he's like, "Look, I said you could lose up to 30 pounds, up to." So it's like, not only does he not remember that he's called her a genius, but he thinks that his weight loss program hasn't worked on her. His other side scam.
He thinks that's the scam he got her with.
And it's like, ooh, ouch, Peggy, double insult.
Poor Peg.
Poor Pegs. And it's funny, we were thinking about other shows that we love that have featured a scam in them. So Bob's Burgers fans, there's the Prince of Persuasion and Deuce of Diamonds.
Yeah, which is basically the same character as this guy. He runs the gambit in scams.
Absolutely.
He lives in what I assume is a hotel that rents, you know what I mean, long term.
Well, he probably goes town to town, right? So it's he probably does Texas and goes to all these small towns in Texas, and then moves on to the next one.
And he shows up all disheveled and unshaven as Peggy questions him about this. So he's a guy that's on the lam, more or less.
And his response to her when she's like, "No, you sold me a false PhD," is no refunds, essentially.
Yeah, read your ticket carefully.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a carny.
Yeah, exactly. Another Simpsons episode there with the carnies that Bart and Homer are rubes for.
Yeah.
And out-rube them. So will Peggy out-rube Dr. Robert Vaizosa?
Yeah, that's the true mark of a great sitcom. Mm-hmm. Is when one of your main characters gets rubed. How do they respond? Do they rube back?
The rubing.
Or, they rube them out?
Yeah. So she gathers all of the other rubes, including Jimmy Witchert and this 50-year-old lady, and they all meet at the racetrack.
It's like King Arthur's court of fucking idiots.
Yes.
Basically, it's they're all so dumb, but they think they're these brave, genius knights.
And it's so basically she's trying to even explain to them that they have been duped and they're not getting it. One of them is I've already got graduation presents, which include 2 hats, and I can't remember what the other one is.
Yeah.
But it's she
very
has told her
things.
Family, and nobody in the family questioned it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a point where Jimmy, she's like, okay, so sometimes things aren't as they seem, and to illustrate this, she does the famous thumb removal trick where you kind of wrap one finger around the knuckle of your thumb and then it looks like you're pulling your thumb apart. This scares the fuck out of Jimmy Witcher. And he's like, somebody call a doctor, to which one of the other rubes replies, I'm a doctor. And so the illustration is complete.
Yeah, they're prime for this. They so much so, and that goes back to this famous quote I remember where I think it says it's easier to fool someone it's easier to fool someone than it is
to convince them
they've been fooled.
Mark
and Jimmy Witchert is a great example of that. Yes. You literally have to use magic, and even then he still doesn't get it.
I was gonna say dash Mark Twain dash Heggy Hill. Like the Michael Scott from The Office one where he does the Wayne Gretzky quote.
Yeah.
Dash Michael Scott. Anyways, so they hatch a very, I think you wrote it down in your notes and I liked it, so I'm stealing it now.
It's like a very Go ahead and steal it.
Ocean's 11 type sequence of events here.
Yeah.
We haven't seen The Spanish Prisoner, which is what the title of this episode is.
We should have watched it, we'll admit.
Yeah. But we're not geniuses, and we're not claiming to be.
Yeah, we from beginning of the night where we decide to do a podcast where we finish it is what, like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Unedited, just straight up. We watch the episode, take a few notes, Google some shit, do the episode.
Yeah.
Hour and a half, start to finish.
Exactly.
No editing. So what you get is what you fucking get.
That's right.
We didn't watch the hour and a half long movie, which is probably longer than the whole writing, creating, filming, and editing process of this podcast.
You're not here for a Spanish Prisoner podcast. You're here for fucking King of the Hill, people. So we think this was borrowed from Ocean's 11, but it might have been from the other movie.
All you need to know is the title's based off a movie, and probably some of the homage scenes as well.
But, so anyways, summary of the plan simply is that Dr. Robert Vaizosa knows that Jimmy Witcher works at a racetrack. So they're going to try to convince him that Jimmy knows all of the races are rigged. And Peggy gets in on this little tip, so she's got an investment opportunity for him. And if he just lends her a bunch of money, they can go to this underground gambling scene and bet all of this lent money as well as his money on these determined races.
Yeah, she's going to scam the scammer, essentially, and lure him into some proposed fraudulent races. And
so the whole fake underground gambling thing that we have here is at the Econo Lodge or something like that.
The casino is run out of what is it called when you have a hotel room that has a little kitchen?
Oh, the ones that you can rent.
Yes.
Basically rooms by the hour, rooms by the week.
Yeah, and it's it has a little kitchenette in it, so you can cook and shit and not just have to raid a mini fridge.
Yeah.
So it's a real little apartment.
It's got Econo in the title for sure.
Yeah, so their big gambling
racket
outfit is run out of this thing, and it's featuring patrons and employees from the 150 smartest
So
Texans
he's met
thing.
all of them.
Yeah.
And
scammed them.
Yes.
Yeah. And now he sees them running this Casino Royale type thing.
Exactly. So they go and there's a little TV set up. Jimmy Witcher and the announcer are in the next room, announcing the races live. And he's betting $4,000 at a time. And the person that's taking the money is one of these 150 top intelligent Texans and is oh my, that sounds like you've got a hot tip. It's just so obvious that this is not, they're trying to get their money back.
Yeah, this is a half-baked idea to get revenge, and you can tell Jeff Goldblum / Dr. Robert Vaizosa is keen to this plan.
Yeah, he's so cocky about it. And so it continues with, Peggy kind of taking a cell phone call, getting the tip, passing it on to him, and there's something like 5 races in total, right? So it gets to about race 4, and she gives him the tip, and all of a sudden he decides, I'm good. I don't want to get greedy.
He's going to quit while he's ahead. Yeah.
So he mentions that he's taking away $64,000 of this money that everybody's put in. We see that when they're setting it up, everybody puts in $1,000, and he's got money plus their, institute money. So you can tell that the plan has foiled at this point. She's like, what? You got a hot tip on this final race? And he's like, I don't want to get greedy, Peggy. Meanwhile, interspliced with that, we see that Bobby has gone to tell Hank, who, it's a pretty funny scene. He's on the phone with the bank, and he's like, no, I don't want to take Peggy off. I just want to make it so that I just want to change the PIN so she can't access the banking information. And Bobby kind of walks up and is keen to it, and Hank hangs up and he's like, I'm sorry you had to see that, Bobby. And this is where Bobby explains what's going on. He's like, oh no, I totally get it. If Mom lost another $1,000, and he's like, Hank's like, what do you mean another $1,000? And he's like, oh, the institute guy, there's a gambling ring. It's so hard to set this whole plan up. So Hank's keen to it and comes racing over.
Yeah, and Hank, of course, is like, tell me where this guy is, and actually Peggy, I think, just blurts it out.
Because she's crying. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, I was planning on getting the money back. Yeah. I didn't think that,
And of course, Hank is like, just ready to kick this dude's ass, like Texas fucking beat down style. And he rushes to the room, pounds on the door until Buddy lets him open. And just before Buddy lets him open, he shoves all the cash that he's fraudulently won into this
Robert does.
Into this safe in the hotel, because apparently there's safes in hotel room closets. And Hank comes in, searches the place over, checks under the bed, checks in the closet, just sees a safe, and confronts the guy. He's like, "You stole from my wife. Like, we're gonna sort this out here, buddy." And that's when Vizosa's like, "Hey, your wife set up a fraudulent betting ring in an Econo Lodge to steal my money, and you're gonna call the cops on me? Like, right? You're fucked, man. Like, you got nothing."
And, like, you can see, so at this scene, so prior to Hank going up there, first of all, he insults Peggy big time. Like, he's basically just like, you know what, you do what you gotta do, but when you need someone to come in and fix this mess, it's up to me, kind of thing. And so he goes up there to the doctor's room, and he's looking around, and you can see that Dr. Robert Vizos is, like, sweating under the collar a bit. Hank's pulling open drawers, and he's, like, kind of chattering in the background. Robert, he's like, "Do you want a Bible? You can have the hotel Bible." And when he throws open the closet door where the safe is, and then Hank gives up and he's like, "Well, I guess it's not here," you see that he thinks he's outsmarted Hank at this point by putting the money in the safe. Because he's like, "Yeah, no, get out of here." And he drops that little line that you were talking about. Like, "You want to call the cops? Go for it. Your wife's the one who's done something illegal here. I've done nothing," right? Meanwhile, in the background, we see a little scene, don't we?
A little Boomhauer action, yeah, mm-hmm. Of course. This is like one of those double, like a deke out. You know how, like, there's a deke out in hockey? It's like a double deke.
That's right.
You get double deked here, and they really just wanted Vizosa to put the money in a safe so that Boomhauer could saw into the wall from the other adjacent room and lift that safe right out of the Econo Lodge, because Econo Lodge doesn't have safes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Like, this is a shitty, like, $50 a night hotel, and you think we have safes?
Right. Who do you think's coming here that needs to put things into safes?
Yeah.
So, long story short, it shows Peggy and Boomhauer. She tells Boomhauer that she could trust him not to talk.
Yeah, because nobody can fucking understand Boomhauer at all.
And so Dr. Robert Vizosa sees that the safe is missing somehow. And then we see that he runs down to the concierge of this Econo suite and goes running back up to the false, like, casino type room, betting room. And all that's on the bed is Peggy's edition of the 150 smartest Texans just sitting there. So a little nod to, like, and a little fuck you to him.
Yeah. A little salt in the wounds. Mm-hmm. Twist the knife a little bit. Which gorgeous. Is, I'm not against it.
He needs a little bit of that.
Yeah, needs to be humbled. But, he just ran into the wrong motherfuckers. If he had ran into anyone else, he could have kept doing this for years and years and years. But he ran into the goddamn hills. And you don't fuck with the hills. Absolutely. If there's anything we've learned from watching this as children and teenagers and to adults. Watching it as adults, is that you don't fuck with the hills.
No.
Any of them.
They will always outsmart
any of them. Bobby, Luann, Hank, Peggy, it doesn't matter.
Even Lucky.
Yep.
He'll slip on that pee-pee.
Yeah, he'll slip on some pee-pee, ruin your life.
That's right.
Sue the shit out.
Jail's Deadbug can attest to that.
Sue the shit out of you.
So can the corn chip factory? Like, this man.
Yeah, they'll work their way out of anything.
And so it ends on a happier note. All of the geniuses and Peggy and the Hills are at some diner dishing out the money.
Splitting the take.
Yeah, and so Hank's like, "All right, you got me. But, like, what if I didn't react that way? What if I didn't come over?" And Peggy has a fail-safe of, well, if you didn't do that, we also, Dr. Robert Vizosa used the valet. He checked his car into the valet, and Hank's like, "So?" And she's like, "The Econo Suites doesn't have a valet." So they were holding his car as collateral, just in case that plan A didn't work. And it's like, we were thinking about it, and we're like, $64,000 could buy you a pretty sweet brand new car. So I'd be like, keep it, lady.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
that was the
exactly.
outcome. I can't imagine his car's like anything outstanding.
No, I mean, who knows, but I mean, I'd probably take the money.
So this kind of leads us to the final question. It ends on that note, but we were just pondering, like, what do you think? Is Peggy actually a genius? Like, what do you think?
I don't know. I think she's of average or slightly above average intelligence and has a crazy ego that just makes her think she's a lot smarter than she is, and maybe even drives her to success she wouldn't have had if she was just slightly above average with no ego. Because you know what I mean? Ego can push you, you know what I mean? It can push you to some heights, but eventually your intelligence is going to have to cash the check, right? So without a healthy dose of both, you might not have what it takes to go for what you want, or you might not have the balls to go for what you want, right? Because just because you're smart enough to get what you want doesn't mean you'll do it.
Exactly.
You know? So I think she's above average intelligence, but with the balls to really go for more than she's capable of.
See, I'm on the flip side of that, where I'm like, I actually think Peggy's pretty smart. So she's really emotionally intelligent. She usually has the soundest advice when her ego isn't at stake. Like, she's quite smart, and she's, like, very well-spoken, very well-read. She is a journalist. Like, she does her musings. She gets that A on the plagiarized essay that she does for Bobby. So she's got intelligence, absolutely. She's not the smartest Spanish speaker, but she is really smart in a lot of other ways. Like, she's usually the one that undoes a lot of plans, and she's really, like... Again, like, she's just really balanced. Like, even in the dog dancing episode, our last episode, she is, like, so matter-of-fact and, like, hey, look, Bobby has a dog. He can dance with that dog. Hank, you have a dog. You can dance with that dog. Everybody wins. You know what I mean? Like, she's very clear.
Yeah, I feel like when her ego's not involved,
and that's the thing is, I think her ego stands in the way. Like, I feel like if she was to just take an aptitude test or an intelligence test, she would score very high. But because her ego is... there, it does absolutely, like, block her from going down a path that would help her to achieve, like, an even greater success. Because, like, we never see her get shook, but like we said, the first time that her intelligence is questioned and her ego was questioned, she got fucking shook, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm on the flip side where I'm like, I think she's maybe above average, maybe superior, but her ego stands in the way of that. You know?
Yeah, I feel like that's a relatively fair assessment.
Yeah. So, what were your favorite moments? Rating. Tell me.
Oh, geez Louise. Probably favorite moment was when Jimmy Witchard was just baffled by the old thumb removal trick that every, you know what I mean, 5-year-old and up has been able to figure out since the dawn of time, or since the dawn of that trick. And then overall rating, I would say it's probably high, which is not a shocker, but it's not going to be crazy high. It's like an 8.9. It was a good episode, not a 9, but it could have been if it had a good B story.
Yeah.
We're all about that B story action. Just because we like to see a little Bobby, we like to see a little Dale, we like to see a little Bill and Boomhauer
Cotton sometimes
in the mix, just to keep you
keep it
fully entertained in a well-rounded way.
Yeah.
So yeah, great episode. Not a 9, but something I've seen at least 3-4 times already, and we'll watch another 300 or 400 times. You know, until I croak. So. Good episode.
Absolutely.
And yourself?
I feel like I would probably rate this episode like maybe even just a 9. I feel like our ratings mean nothing because we've given nothing. I think 8.5 is the lowest we've given to this point. So it's basically like on a scale of 8 to 9. What do you rate this? So I'm going to say a 9 though because it's quick paced and it's got like that M. Night Shyamalan twist. You know what I mean? Like at first you think Peggy's failed, that she's lost everybody's money, and then you're like, nah, she had you had, boy.
Yeah, you think she's an idiot with that terrible
exactly.
and obvious scheme that was just in itself a ruse.
Right? And so I'm like that. It's like, it is exactly like the Carney episode of The Simpsons where they get you, you know? And I'm like, I love those twists because just to refresh you guys on the Simpsons episode, there is like Bart and Homer ruin the house of two Carneys who they then take into their home. And then, using squatters' rights, the Carneys take over the Simpsons household, and they are confined to the tree house. And then, at the end of it, the way that they outruse these Carneys is that they're going to do a hoop toss using a hula hoop over the chimney. And if they can't do it, the Carneys get the deed to the house legit. And if they can, they get their house back. And so, as everybody comes out to watch Homer...
The big throw.
Yeah,
it's
then
a climactic moment where everyone's focused on just the chimney and just the hoop.
Then the Simpsons run into the house and take their house back. And so it's like, it's exactly like that. Like, and I love that twist where I'm like, I did not see that coming. Yep. You have proven me to be the rube. So I give it a...
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, just give it a 9 for that. Like,
yeah.
Like, I feel like it leads up to I'm engrossed the whole time. Mm-hmm. I don't like it when Peggy's taking a hit, so I like to see her get the win at the end.
And it's like very magician-like. If you've watched our previous episode that we have uploaded, make them focus on this one thing that's very obvious while you're secretly doing this other thing that's not so obvious.
Absolutely.
The old misdirection technique, which I believe is what most magicians and con artists probably use.
Exactly. And so I feel like that's my rating is a 9. My favorite moment, and I just... As you know, I met Jeff Goldblum at Comic-Con. I'm just like, oh, it's a JG episode in here. So I like when he is swindling Peggy, when he, kind of schmoozes her away from the other idiots.
His character is great. It's brilliant. His character is a 9.9. Mm-hmm. The episode for me is an 8.9.
Yeah.
And the episode for you is a 9.
Yes, so. Yeah. He's the one that's bringing it up, but I also love a Peggy heavy episode. So I also like when Hank is like, Bobby, I'm sorry you had to see that when he's trying to change the pin on Peggy. So I feel like that about caps it.
That about wraps it up. It's a little earlier than some of the other episodes.
We went a little bit later on part 1.
But you know what? We're drunk. We've been smoking marijuana, which is legal in this country. So don't go. Blabbing your mouths and trying to get us in trouble. We're from Canada.
Don't judge us.
We're from Canada, so we can get as drunk and stoned as we want. And we are that, so we're going to shut her down just a bit early to
you guys are losing 3 minutes, but they gained it on the first part 1. And really, we have 2 viewers, so hey guys, I know you're my friends.
Hey, close and personal friends. If you're watching out there, make sure to smash that like and
button.
Subscribe button.
Share it.
Yeah.
But so to the 2 friends that we have watching this, thanks for listening all the way through. And we're going to give you a 3-minute reprieve by ending it now.
Yeah, and also, all you sucker MCs will be here watching this after we write our show and sell it.
And make it big.
So, this will be like a behind the laughter type episode if you're a Simpsons fan.
Exactly.
So, check it out in 3 to 4 years.
And be like, I could have gotten in on the ground floor. Anyways, please join us in the alley next time to crack a few Alamos.